Oh, right. Hopefully that's me live. Oh, I need to check. So, because I completely forgot to turn this on actually. Apologies. So, how is everybody today? If you're watching this, please turn that right down. There we go. Please do go in the chat. Please do say hello, put a message either on YouTube or in Facebook. So I couldn't think what the word was then. In Facebook, that would be great. Let me just go on here and check it's actually working. So, oh, there we go. Excellent. So I can see comments there. If I can get this stood up in a way that means it's not going to fall over. There we go. Hopefully I can get those in. So hopefully you can hear me as well, which would be important. Let me know if there's any problems with that. I thought today we'd, oh, look at my hair, it's all funny. That's the problem with seeing yourself in Zoom. You can see all the problems. Anyway, you don't want to look at me, you want to look at my craft desk. So I'm going to go into the corner and you'll be able to see the craft desk, which is better. I don't know why I've left those ink pads out there. But today I wanted to have a look at, why is this not straight? Don't understand that. Oh, oops. Whoops, just moved everything. That's a bit better, isn't it? It's just not going to be straight, is it? Perhaps this is tilted a bit. Oh. If I move that, it's going to look funny. Anyway, you can see my desk, which is good. I've got a new phone, and this is a lovely new phone because it's it's iPhone, can't remember what number, 13, 14 or something, new to me anyway. And it seems to have a better camera. I can see more of my desk, which is really good. Although whether I need to get it a bit lower so that it's a bit tighter on view, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think. So, little preview first on some cards that I'm going to show tomorrow. My focus for this live is for Easter cards, more Easter cards. You'll know I made some last week with the lovely Daffodil Daydream set and Daffodil Delight set. What's it called? Can't even remember. Daffodil Daydream, yes, I was right, a Daffodil Daydream set. I also have a video coming out tomorrow, which is going to look at some retired sets, because my main Easter sets are actually retired sets. I have two Welcome Easter. Oh, well, I would have had if I hadn't just dropped them all over the floor. Oh dear. That's not good, is it? Lost my little bit from in there. That's my mask. I have these two sets. Welcome Easter and Springtime Joy. They're both retired, but I love them as little cute Easter cards. But I know that not all of my ladies like Easter cards. Oh, I need to get the chat up here so I can see. Lovely. If you want to put a chat in, please do put something in the chat. It would be great to hear from you if you're watching me live. That would be good. So these are retired sets, and my purpose of my post tomorrow is actually to get you not to look at all your retired sets, but you will have retired stuff. I have loads of retired stuff. By the way, you get retired stuff for free if you make an order with me. So always worth thinking about that when you make an order. You can choose any retired stuff to the amount of your order. So that's worth it. But I use them to make cards, and the idea is to give you ideas for card layouts rather than the cards themselves. So this one I didn't actually show making, but it's just an example of how you can use a coloured card background, emboss the whole of the front of the card with whichever embossing folder you want. This is actually a retired one as well, Seashore I think it's called. And then you can just simply add elements to it. So I've added the bunny from the Welcome Easter set, and the little basket of eggs, which is from the Springtime Joy set. And then these are little egg dies that actually came with the Hey Chick set, so die set. So and they're just embossed. You can see the detail in them. They've got little embossed detail in them, which is nice. And then a simple sentiment, and just laid them across the card. With coloured cardstock, you do need to use a layer inside for your greeting inside. That's just a little thing to remind you about. But that's one idea, emboss your cardstock and then add elements. The second idea I showed you was to use DSP, just cut in half and reversed. So this is actually Daffodil Daydream DSP. It's the same sheet, just reversed. Cutting it like this, I've done it landscape, then obviously if you turn that over, it's not right. You need 2 pieces to be able to make the card. But then you've got the other 2 pieces to make another card. So you can make 2 cards out of 2 pieces of DSP. If there's no directional pattern, it won't matter, because you can just cut it and use it. But if you've got directional pattern, you need to think about which way your directions are going. So this has got little hearts on it. So I needed those to be going upwards. So I cut 2 pieces. So my other card has the hearts pointing down and the flowery bit at the top. It doesn't really matter. Add an element, add an image, add a little sentiment. There's another idea for a card. So the idea of this was to give you ideas for how to think about making cards and then use your own images, your own stamps, whatever you've got. So this would obviously look nice with flowers, with a different sentiment. So much you can do. And with very vanilla and basic white, you can, of course, just put your sentiments and your images inside without bothering too much. The third one I made, and that's going to be in the blog post that comes out tomorrow, is this one. And the idea for this one is to simply use a strip of DSP. Now, this time I've used a strip from the Dandy Designs DSP, which was available in Celebration, so again, retired. But I've used that. I've cut out a few of the little flowers from it and just used them as additional decoration. Same thing with my layered scallop circle and my stitched circle as my basis for my images. Sentiment, few gems to just jazz it up a little bit. And I did use another layer here. I've used some retired, probably just about see that, some retired glitter paper, and I've used that just slightly bigger than the panel. The panel is 14.8 by 5, so I did this glitter strip at 14.8 by 5.5. I'd added an extra ½ centimetre, so I've got 1/4 centimetre either side. If you wanted more to stick out, then you could obviously cut it slightly wider, say 6 centimetres. You could use a coloured card strip that coordinates with DSP, whatever you want to do. Again, it's the idea for the layout rather than the card itself that I'm trying to get across with those. So that's the blog post that will be coming out tomorrow. So hopefully you'll see that. But for today's cards, I actually wanted to do some more traditional Easter cards. Let me just move my bunnies out of the way so they don't get all mixed up. And I wanted to make, yeah, as I say, some traditional Easter cards. So I'm going to start with one that's a little bit more fiddly, I suppose, but it's this one here. And this is an idea. It's called a floating card. And the idea is that you can float the image on top of the strips. Now, you can do this with acetate that holds the strips together. I've actually used my elements to hold the strips together, my flowers, my crosses, and my large cross for the Easter blessings. So for that, I obviously needed to colour the inside of the card. I probably should have done that darker here because I'm losing my crosses at the back here a little bit against that card. But that was the idea. So I just wanted to show you how to do that and how to make one of those if you want. I'm not going to make the whole thing because it's a little bit fiddly putting these together, but I just want to show you how it's held together. I just use one of the strips to hold it in the back, and then you can put the stuff on the side just to hold it so that it stands up beautifully. So I'm going to show you briefly how to do that. So here are my bits to make this card. Now, for the crosses, which I haven't actually cut out, I've only cut out one actually so far. If I wanted to do the other small ones, I may or may not for this to show you on this card. I may just use more flowers actually. I've actually used my own template. You could use some of the punches. You could punch out strips, so any long strip punch you could use, or dies. So the actual for these sorts of what's the word I want? How they look together. I can't think of the word I want. To make the cross, you could actually use the 2 stitched rectangle dies and do 2 pieces like that to make a cross. Up to you. But if you're interested in making the ones that I've made, I will be putting these in the post. This post about this one will come out next week, hopefully. And these ones, I've made the larger one. I've made it 9 centimeters by 6 centimeters, and then measured in 2 centimeters for each of the arms, both depth and width, which leaves 2 centimeters across the top. I've made the top bit about 1 3/4 centimeters ish, and the bottom one 5.5 centimeters. So that just that just makes a nice large cross. If you want to make smaller crosses, I found the best one was to use 5.5 by 4 for 5.5, and I've actually used 1.3 measurements for the cross arms, 1.4 across the middle, 3.2 at the bottom, and 1 at the top. And it's just about proportions. That was the word I was trying to think of before. It's about the proportions, and that to me is around right for the small ones. So to make this card, you need obviously a normal card base. I've got the wrong way around card base there. Hang on, where have I put my correct way around card base? No, that's the wrong way around too. Well, that was silly, wasn't it? You need the card to be cut this way actually, lengthways, and I've cut this the wrong way. So this is what happens when you go live, you know. Have I got another piece cut like that, or do I need to actually cut a piece? Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. Let me know, by the way. Oh, here we go. Stitched oh, thank you, Carol. Lovely to see you. Stitched rectangles would look good for the crosses. Yes, they would. And I did actually think about that, but I'd already cut some out of paper, so that's where we go. Right, I need to cut myself a better card base. Just goes to show I was obviously half asleep when I was preparing for this class. I thought I'd cut the correct card bases. So for this, to make this cross card, you do need a long piece of card, which means that you're cutting the A4 bit lengthways at 10.5 centimeters. So it's cutting it the different way from normal. Normally for cards, we cut it across the middle. So this is cutting it long ways. Just checking there's no comments on there because I'm just covering up my Facebook Live. Never mind. And then for the crease in the middle, you're obviously going to cut it at the 14.8. So, or crease it at the 14.8 because you're making the card that way. There we go. That's better. So it might have been because I was in two minds whether to show this card today, actually. But anyway, I'm going to. Then to cut it, you need to cut some strips. And I found if you cut the strips 1.5 up from the bottom, then one that you're going to discard, 1.5, 1, 1.5, 1. That gives you the 3 strips, which I think is a nice number. So how we do that is we simply use the trimmer again. And I'm using the guide on the right-hand side. So I want my first strip to be 1.5. Now, you could do this by just cutting off a whole thing and then cutting it into strips, but I found this gets it about right for me. So 1.5, then 1, and I'm going to keep one of the 1 strips. 1.5 again. So I'm going to keep that strip because I need it. 1.5 again. No, just under 1.5, a 1. 1.5. And a final 1. So those are my strips. Now, I need to actually colour the card. And as you'll see from this one, I'm using the blending brushes to give a little bit of a halo around the cross. And then I used green to do the base here. And I actually need to do these strips. It might have been better had I actually done them all because the strip up the middle is hidden. I could have done them before I cut them. But anyway, we'll do it this way for now. So I need a spare sheet of paper. Because blending, it gets messy. And I'm using Daffodil Delight. Now, we learned last night, by the way, that of the colour refresh. So we are losing 17 colours if you include the 15, I think it's 15, if you include the in colours that are going to stop at the end of this month, which is sad. But the really good news is one of the current in colours, Fresh Freesia, which is actually my favourite, is staying. It's becoming one of the families of colours. So we're only losing 4 of those, which is good. And do my maths, 11 of the others, some of which I'm not bothered about losing. Mint macaron was never particularly my favourite. Can't remember what else. I'll just put a post up about that later when I get around to it. So I have just inked up my blending brush. Always remember, dab it off first so you don't get any sort of streaks of colour in it. And then I'm just going to move it round to add the colour to the card. And you can do this as much as you want, add as much colour as you want. It's totally up to you. So we want this on the front of the card because this is where the top of the cross is going to be. So that's that one. Add a bit more colour in. And certainly my green, I want it to be darker this time. So I've used Old Olive, we'll see. So that'll do for my front of my card there. And I'm going to use Old Olive. Perhaps I should have used a darker green. Might use garden green actually. It'll be a little darker and quicker to do. So excuse me. We'll try garden green. I think that might be a little quicker and give a slightly darker green actually. So my other blending brush here, I shall pick up that colour. Oh yeah, it's going to provide a darker background quicker, I think. I want this to look a bit rougher because this is obviously grass of the hillside. And I need to take this a fair way up the card because I need it to come another sort of strip up so that it's going behind where that cross is going to sit at the top. So I'm just doing this very quickly. You should probably do it better than me, but just to show you. So you can see I've got a few little lumps of colour. It doesn't really matter, it's grass, so I'm not that bothered. Grass is not even. Yeah, that's fine. And I also need to colour this, whoops, before I drop them on the floor, the strips that are going to come back. So these are the 1.5 inch strips that are going to come back onto here. And I've just used, actually I should have told you this, you should really use the thick basic white for this. I've actually used, this is actually the ordinary basic white, so it's a little bit light for this because it could do with a little bit more weight, I think. So I'm just going to colour these very quickly. There we go. So there I have the strips I need to put back. Get rid of that, shut that before I lean in it and do something terrible. So to put these together, the way I've done it is I actually don't want to see, if you look at this one that I've already done, try not to get, I've got colour on my fingers, got to be careful. I don't want to see the end of that strip. I want to see as little as possible. So I actually stick it to the front of the card. So one of these discarded little narrower strips, I'm actually going to stick there in the middle of the card because it's going to be hidden by the cross when I put it on, but it's going to hold these other strips in place. So I am going to put a little bit of glue on the back of there, just on the top bit. Should have let this dry a little bit, still a bit sticky. And I want it to come down to the bottom. I could actually measure this and make sure it's in the middle. I'm just going to use an eye guess for now. So I stick that on there. And then my other pieces then can go on. I'll stick the bottom one first. So that's going to go along the bottom. So put that one on. And I'm just using the base of the card to tell me where I need to stick it. Now I'm just going to put the one cross on here because it's all I've cut out so far. If you'd done the others, you could actually put 2 more sticks down to hold this, but the one in the center is enough, to be honest. So then we're going to have 2 more. Just put glue vaguely on there. So the second one, I'll put the top one on first. So remember, we've got a 1 centimeter gap. You can actually measure this if you want. I'm just going to do it by eye for ease of quickness today. But you could measure these to make sure you have come down a centimetre. And then for the other centimetre, you just want the gaps to be roughly even. There. So there is my card, which is a little bit flimsy because I haven't used the thick whisper white, the thick basic white, which is silly. What I could do is cut some more strips and put them on the back, actually, and that would really bulk it up and give it a bit more strength. But I just wanted to show you roughly how to make this. And then very simply, I've already stamped my Easter Blessings sentiment. I'm using one of my favourite quick and easy sentiment punches, which is the double oval. So I shall cut out the Easter Blessings in the small oval, and then a larger one from Daffodil Delight. Then I can stick those together. Try and make sure it's straight, that would be better. There we go. And then the cross I'm leaving just as a plain white cross. Might actually use dimensionals for it. Lost my dimensionals, they were here. Oh, they're under there. So you can see, by the way, how I've measured it and cut it out. I measure the lines and draw all the lines, then cut out the squares in the corners to make the cross on the sizes I've given you, which will be in the blog post next week. So we will have one either side, one at the top, one there before it gets down near the bottom, and then I want one on there and on there. So I'm putting a fair number on because I want it to really stick where it's supposed to. I find the tops of these dimensionals all over the house. It's ridiculous. There. So there is standing up, that's good. So that's adding a little bit more rigidity to it already, and when I put the other things on, it'll add even more. So there is my cross. I'm just going to stick this on the center of the cross, not using more dimensionals. Remember, you've got to be a little bit careful on the width of things if you're going to post them. But to add a bit more strength to the bottom, I'm actually going to use the flowers from the Petal Park set, and I've used the inset flowers in the Petal Park set. There are outline flowers and then ones you can use to infill the flowers. I'm just using the infill flowers because I find I don't need the edge on these. You can see I've just got a white edge as I've punched them out, and that, to be honest, that's fine. So I'm going to use 3 different colours of flowers. I'm going to use Daffodil Delight again because I've used that for both my blending brush stuff and for my sentiment background. So always think, by the way, which round is the punch. So I need those 2 bigger ones at the bottom. Make it easy to punch out. So that's my Daffodil Delight. Oh dear, I should have dampened that. It's not wet enough. Have I got... Oh, I'm just looking for my... I really ought to get more organised, oughtn't I? Somewhere I've got something. Anyway, I'm going to go light to dark, so it shouldn't matter too much. Actually, you might need to give me just a second. I need to go and just wet this so I can clean my stamps. Give me just a second. I'll be back. Sorry about that. By the way, is the audio okay? Can you hear okay? Because I did have an awful lot of feedback before, and I think I've sorted it, but it means I can't hear anything now, which is probably a good thing. But let me know if the audio isn't okay, and just let me know if you can hear okay. Right, so we will do, this is Highland Heather. I'm really excited because one of my favourite, or two of my favourite colours are coming back, which is excellent. One is Berry Burst, which is one of my very favouriteest sort of purpley maroony reds, purpley red thing. Really nice. And the other one is Misty Moonlight, which was an in colour 2 years ago, I think. Can't quite remember. Oh, thanks, Carol. The audio's okay. Brilliant. So yes, and Misty Moonlight, which was a really nice blue. I quite liked one called Denim Blue. Misty Moonlight's sort of a little bit like that one. So it's nice to have another blue back that isn't just light or dark and more of a mid blue, but not as bright as Pacific Point, which I find a little bit too bright sometimes. So I've just stamped the flowers 3 times in 3 different colours, and then really quick, because I can just punch those all out. If I haven't lost the punch, there's the punch. So I've made sure they're the right way round on the paper so they can go into the punch properly. Just take a minute to line them up. There we go. 3, these 3. Sometimes you can put something in a punch and it lines up straight away. Other times you have to fiddle. And of course, being live, I'm having to fiddle a little bit. There. So there are all of my flowers. Now, some of them are quite big. Some of them are tiny. Some of them are a little bit bigger. But I am going to just use, I've got a little sort of pusher thingy. You can just use your finger. I've actually got nails at the moment, so nails will actually mark the flowers. Whereas using this, I can just, you could use a mat for this. I find the palm of my hand just works really, really well just to shape some of the flowers. So just doing the bigger ones. I could probably do them all, why not? Have I lost a small one? Seem to have lost a small flower. Oh, there it is over there. I've done them all. There we go. Just give them a little bit of shape. And then I'm just going to stick them on randomly, but in a way that helps to join some of these together. So, for example, if I stick that across there, I can stick it so that it's top and bottom on the card. And to make sure I'm getting the glue in the right place and not where I don't want it, I actually put the glue on the card rather than on the flower. So same thing, I think we'll have the big pink one down here. So obviously some of my bending is going to vanish as I press this down flat on here, but that's fine. Some of it's going to stay. And then we'll have the other big one here. And that'll just help hold some of these together. Ooh. Sticking to me, not the card. That's not good. And then I'll have this one here. And then it's just a matter of adding the others where you want them to be. Gosh, it's 11 o'clock already. I thought this one would be really quick. It's not a very quick one, I suppose. That one up there. Just make sure that hasn't stuck down underneath. Actually, if I put them on like this, that would be a lot better, wouldn't it? So final couple. Put that glue too high up. Where should we have our final pink one? Somewhere here, I think. Oop, it's going to pop up, isn't it? Put it under that one. There we go. Oop. There. So just a simple little card, a little bit of a wow factor because we have got the panels, the floating panels on there, but that makes rather a nice card. And then just to finish it off, just move that bit of glue I've seemed to manage to get all over me. I'm just going to use 2 or 3 little gems just up in the corner. So I have a small one, a medium one, and a big one. So that is fairly flat on there. That's got a little bit of dimension. It should still go through the post really well. So there, 2 cards. You can see that actually making the green darker is definitely better. I might just put a little bit of glue on there just to hold that one on better. I can fiddle with that later. So there is an idea for you to think about doing that one. Let me move on quickly because I've got so many other cards to show you. Oh, there's the envelope to go with that one. So the second one I wanted to show you, let me just tidy up a bit here, honestly, getting in a mess. Let me put where shall I put my finished cards? Over there. So the next one I wanted to show you is very different styles, very similar sort of type of idea and layout, just of using gaps between things. But this one is a really quick and simple card. So I've used a coloured cardstock base. I've used soft succulent to use it up. And the paper is, let me just reach that. These rather gorgeous foiled papers. What are they called? Dry brushed metallic papers, and they're just lovely. Hopefully you can, I won't open that, but hopefully you can see on here just how much it's shimmers and shines. It's beautiful paper, but the background of it is soft succulent, which is why I used that as a back. And then it's got this sort of gold, champagne-y gold. I've used a simple cut foil gold star to put on the cross to put on the front, but I've used the champagne foil behind here. I can't actually decide which is better. I tried them both out and I still can't decide. However, I thought I'd make it in the other colour. There are 2 colours in the dry brushed one. On the other one, I've used Cajun Craze as the background. So this one I think is going to be a retiring colour. So I'm glad I've used some of it up. So for this card, you need a piece of foil that you're going to cut your cross out of. So this is the one I've said before, which is 9 centimetres by 6 centimetres. And I'm going to measure 2 inches in from either side and 5.5 in from the bottom, and then a 2-inch gap there. So I'll show you how I do it. This is how I've done these. So if you haven't got any dies you can make these things out of, don't worry, because you can use your eye and a couple of a pair of scissors. So I'm marking that in 2 inches each side and the same at the bottom. So that's my long ways. So just join those up together. And then I'm going to measure 5.5 up from the bottom for 5.5 and 2 inches above that. So it's rough 2 centimetres. Yeah, roughly 2 centimetres. I don't know. Actually, that looks a bit too big to me. I'm going to make it 1.5, which is 2 down from the top and then 5.5 up from the bottom. Changed my mind on this one. Let's see if it looks any better. So again, just going to join those lines up. So there's my markings just on the back, and then I can cut these out to give me my cross. So I'm going to be quite careful cutting them because I'm obviously cutting them this side. Don't want to cut into the line, so I'm going to be very careful to just go up to my mark so that I'm not cutting into my cross. I will do this quite quickly, so I probably won't do it perfectly. So we'll see if this looks, oh, it might look a bit too tall at the top, we'll see. You can decide which you like best. like that one. Play around, use your dies, play around with different sizes, see what you like. So that one's got slightly narrower. It is about 1.5 actually I've done on that. Yeah, I quite like that one. That's okay. I mean, the sizes are up to you. They don't actually matter. So again, I have already cut, this is the champagne. I really can't decide, so I've left one of each just for fun. And again, I've already stamped my Easter Blessings greeting, which I can punch out. And I've already got the back for it, that's fine. So I've used very vanilla because I think it goes better with Cajun Craze than white. White's a little bit too strong, to be honest, for Cajun Craze. So I've used vanilla. So that makes up my sentiment. I'm going to put that together to let it dry, because sticking onto foil of any sort, let it dry, because it will just take a little bit longer to stick than if you're sticking just plain card to plain card. So this is my bit for my inside. I need to do some sort of decoration on it. So I am going to use, this one is actually, this sentiment is actually from the Springtime Joy set. May the new life of spring bring you joy. So I shall use that as my sentiment inside. And just because I've got them out, for no other good reason, oh no, I know what I can do. I can get in the Daffodil Daydream set, I suddenly noticed this little stamp, which I thought was rather nice. And that, to me, is very similar to the pattern on the DSP. It's sort of splodgy random. So let me just get a pad for that. So I'm going to use the dots actually, and I'll use Daffodil Delight simply because it's the one I've got out. So I'm going to use that as the decoration for my inside of my card rather than a flower or anything else. So I'll have that on the card. Yeah, I quite like that. And to match, I shall use it on the envelope too, because I do like my envelopes to match my cards. So rather like that little splodgy stamp. I may well use that more and more. We shall see. I haven't yet perused the retiring list is coming out. I think it is out. I haven't actually had a chance to look at it, so I'm rather hoping Daffodil Daydream stays around, because I've slightly fallen in love with it, having used it last week. And I used it for my Mother's Day card as well. So yeah, I really like that stamp set, so I do hope that one doesn't go. So that's my inside. So I'll just put that in. And then on the front, I've got my strips. Now, I did cut these out of one whole piece. I can't remember the size I cut them. Thought I'd written it down, but I hadn't. So I cut them yes, I've cut them 10 by 12, and then cut each at 4 centimeters. And my trimmer blade clearly needs replaced, because I've got little tails on some of these. I'll just get rid of. So if your trimmer doesn't cut them terribly well, don't worry, you can use your scissors just to run along the edge. You're not cutting it, you're just cutting off the little, I've now got a little shower of bits. What the heck, I'm a messy crafter, as you know. So I need to get these in order, roughly. That might be the bottom one. Should have kept them in order, shouldn't I? Not that it matters too much. It's a fairly random pattern. But I think I actually want that one at the bottom. Right. So again, this is very simple card. I just want to stick these to the card. Just checking for any comments. I've now put my paper on this. I can't even see Facebook anymore. It's fine. So just this is, you can see from this one, I'm not really measuring, but how I put these together, I'm just going to put the top and the bottom one and then add the middle in the middle. So I want a little bit of a gap at the bottom. I want the same sort of gap at the top. there, and then I can just put this other one in the middle. And as long as there's some symmetry, so now I've got little narrow gaps in the middle, that doesn't matter. It's totally up to you how you want to lay them out. I could have pushed those up and down a bit, doesn't really matter. I quite like that. And then very simply, all I do then, except I've lost my dimensionals again, here we go. All I'm doing then is sticking the cross on with dimensionals. And sticking the greeting on with dimensionals. But how quick and simple is that as a card? And how beautiful. If you have really nice, some of these specialty designer series papers are just gorgeous. And you really want them to be the stars. I don't want my images to take away from the beauty of the paper. So I think the simplicity of this card just really called to me. I saw a similar thing done somewhere else. I can't remember who. So apologies for any that's it. Any demonstrator who's gone, I made that card. We all have similar ideas, I'm sure. But there's the card. So you can decide whether you prefer the soft succulent or the Cajun craze one. I don't think I can decide. I like them both. Anyway, that is that card. Which one do you like best? And tell me. That one out the way. And then the final card, I haven't actually made up to show you. I'm going to show you this, so it's going to be a little bit of a wow card as I make it. And for this card, I'm going to show you something called a masking technique. So I've actually stamped my... So I've got a card base. This is just an ordinary card base, just the usual way round. And then I have another piece of card which is cut slightly smaller. So this is cut 14.3 this way by 10 this way. So ½ centimetre smaller all round. And this is the card we're actually going to do the technique on. I haven't actually stamped my greeting on here, so I'll just do that quickly. Because this is the greeting is going to be exactly the same as before, just cut out. With my trusty old double oval punch, that had better never retire because I love it. I lost it. Oh, there it is. So, oops. Of course, I've used a scrappy little bit of card, so I need to fiddle with it to get it in. Where's my pokey tool gone? I had that a second ago. There we go. So, you like them both. Fair enough, Carol. But it's just lovely paper that you get. Was it 2 or 3 sheets of each? I can't remember. 2 sheets of each. So you can see I've used very little of it. So 2 sheets of this sort of pinky Cajun crazy one and 2 sheets of the soft succulenty goldy one. With golden Cajun craze or whatever. Lovely. Gorgeous papers, those. Right. So there is that. And I need my background to go with it. There is my sentiment done. Stick it together now and then I won't forget. But the technique I want to show you to make this card, it's basically a masking technique. Oh, I didn't actually punch terribly well. It's left some bits on it. That was me rushing. So I rush and then it takes me longer because I have to nip off the bits that I haven't punched out. That's better. Right. So it's a masking technique, and for that I'm using some temporary adhesive, removable adhesive. I get this from Amazon, but it's removable, it sticks, but then you can rub it off once you've finished. So I'm going to use my template, and I'm actually going to stick it on. I'll use this side of it, and I'm just going to put some of the removable adhesive because I don't want it to move while I've got it down. And it's going to be the centerpiece of my card. So it's going to go more or less in the middle. So I'm sticking this on my smaller cut piece of card, and I just want that to go on there. And then I'm actually using the really large stamp from the Blessings of Home set, which is this one, which I haven't used this set very much. I wasn't quite sure about. I'm never quite sure about big images, but big images are brilliant for this particular technique. So that is my cross stuck on with the removable adhesive, and then I'm going to get my ink on my stamp. With a big stamp, I would always take the ink pad to the stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it twice around this cross. So we'll have it the first one up here, and the second one in the bottom corner here. I'll turn it round so I've got a bit more bulk at the bottom here, like that. So it looks really messy at the moment, doesn't it? Don't worry, it's going to be okay. I might just put a little bit more up there, use the top of the stamp. I'll clean this so it's not going to put any more on the bottom of the stamp. And to be absolutely sure, sticky notes are so useful in crafting. I only want the top of this bit, which already has some ink on it. So I'm just going to have an extra little leaf up in the top corner there. There we go. Okay. So now it's a matter of colouring it in. So I've got a mixture of my Stampin' Blends here. Let's put that away before I lose it. And we shall use, this is Flirty Flamingo. So I'm going to do the small, just go through the small flowers in Flirty Flamingo. This has got quite a lot of texture already in the actual stamp. I think we'll have the centre of this as Flirty Flamingo as well. Why not? So again, I'm going to do this relatively quickly because I don't want to be boring everybody. But it'll just give you an idea. Then you'll see that, but I need to do this before I can show you the wow factor. So let's have the centre of that one, just so there's some coordination. Have a little bit more depth with the darker blend. If you're doing this properly, you'd take much more time, of course, to add it all in, but I'm just going to do it very quickly. Still look all right. Then we'll have these ones. Oh, we'll do Daffodil Delight round here. So I'm just following where the stamp is. It hasn't gone quite over the stamp here. I should have pushed it a little bit harder. So I'm going to come a little bit more towards that to show, because I want, it's the edge I want here. What other flower shall I do like that? Where's the other one? Here. So, any questions or anything? So I'm just doing this. What else have I got? Pool party. Let's do this one in pool party. I think my pool party's starting to run out a bit. Still, hopefully it'll last enough for me to do this. This one. Oh, pool party. Are you a staying colour? I can't remember if you're a staying colour or not. If you are, I might need to get some new Stampin' Blends. They're definitely... Oh, this one's fine. I'm just doing this very, very roughly. as you can see. I'll colour all that bit in. I need a centre for the flower there. I'll just use daffodil light there, the dark one. Well, it might be a bit too dark against pool party. Well, what the heck? It'll be fine. We better have some more here. That's a flower. I want to get the flowers and the leaves mixed up. Is that a flower? That might be a flower. That might be a pool party one. This is going to take longer than I thought. Actually, what I might do is just come back and focus on the bits right by the cross bit, because that's the bit you need to see, and then I can finish the rest of it later. Oh, that's a leaf. Never mind. Doing this a little bit too quickly in a way, but that's okay. These are what I say they are. So these are flowers, even though there's definitely a leaf on that one. The beauty about blends is even if you're a little bit rough and ready with them like this, it doesn't actually matter, because it just sort of blends itself in as it dries. It's lovely. Of course, you can, if you're being very careful and much better than me, you can go over it with your stamping markers, with your stamping blends, and actually make it look a lot better. But let me just do some of the leaves nearby so we know. So I'm using here, it's a mixture of Granny Apple Green and Old Olive. Old Olive, I think, is my favourite leaf. Favourite green colour for leaves. So I'm just concentrating on doing the ones fairly near here, because they're the ones that are going to matter, as you'll see in a minute. Let's take that green down. Let's do some Granny Apple Green leaves as well. I'll have the bigger leaves, the brighter colour, I think. There, that's basically got the leaves done near the... I can finish the other bits later, the other leaves and things, do a bit more better colouring. But hopefully this is giving you an idea. I do want to... It's important to finish the blending on the colours you've put on, because it will dry, so you don't want to sort of miss out on getting the blended colours together. I don't want to come back when it's too dry. You can see there I've coloured most of the bits around. I will finish this later, but here is the magic bit. We're now just going to peel off the cross, because it's removable. It's got a little bit left, and all you do with the bit that's left is rub it with your finger, or with actually you can use a rubber, just to get those bits off. And there you have a masked technique cross. You can see you've just got the outline of the cross. You can go over that in black marker if you wanted to make it even stand out more, but it's a lovely way to use a stamp to go round an image. So just to finish it off, I would use my, where's my black? Can't find my black. You get the idea. I would just use my ruler, go round that just in black, just to bring it out. You'll see the finished card when I put the post up, because I'll take a picture of it. But that then will sit on the front of this card like that. And there we have yet another Easter card. Oops. Might have the Easter thing up there, actually. Whatever. Perhaps there. Perhaps there. We'll see. What do you think? Anyway, bringing that close and you can see it perhaps better. Yeah. Get the idea? So it's a nice way to do a card. I've got no then dimension on there. You could, of course, cut out a cross and stick it on. That's another way of doing it. So you could have your cross stuck on there if you wanted. But I think this is a really nice card. If you're sending one abroad, so you need it to be even flatter for the postage, then that's a nice way to do it. So I hope you like those ideas. Me, desk covered in bits. Let me just tidy it up a bit, and then I'll show you again the cards we've done today. Reach them over from here. Ooh. So that is my masking technique card. Then I've used the very simple DSP strip card there, and my Easter blessings card, stand-up floating card, like that here. So I hope you've enjoyed those. Hope they've given you some ideas from some nice things. What a lovely card, and so effective. Bottom left for sentiment. Thank you, Carol. I needed that help when I finish colouring it, and I'll do that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to find out more about this, by the way, I am going to be changing these lives. Carol, you'll be delighted. I'm going to go back to Zoom Craftalongs, which will be for just for my email subscribers. So if you'd like to join my email list, please go to craftycarolscards.co.uk and sign up. There's a sign up form on most of the pages. It's halfway down the front page. If you want to sign up there, you get a free PDF of your choice. So you can go into my PDF library and decide which one you want in the shop. You get a free PDF, and you can you then get all the news. I will tell you all the news. Let me get me up so I'm talking and you can see me. That's better. You can see all the news and hear about it all. So sometime after Easter, I haven't quite decided, probably be the Thursday after Easter, I will go back to doing Zoom Craftalongs on a Thursday morning. And I will be doing live YouTubes and Facebooks at other times, probably just to show single cards rather than a class of cards, if you like. But I will let you know all about that in my posts and also by email. So do sign up to the emails. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you again soon. Thank you, Carol, for your comments, and see you again soon. Bye for now.